and welcome to my kitchen. Well, today I'm going to make some Au Gratin potatoes. There was a restaurant that we used to go to that made the best ones I ever had, and this is kind of a copycat recipe for that one. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, now I have peeled about 6 small russet potatoes. And usually it would take 4 to 5 if you have medium potatoes, or if you have the really large ones you might be able to get by with just 2. But I have cut this recipe way back because I've only wanted to make enough that would serve my husband and me for a couple of days. So this recipe would actually serve about 4. But if you needed to you could easily double this recipe and get a whole 9 by 13 casserole dish so that you could feed a crowd and you wouldn't have to have just this little bit. But anyway, we're going to cut these potatoes into cubes the best you can. Just about like that right there. That's about maybe a 3/4 inch cube, I'm not sure. But anyway, we're going to cut these up and then I'm going to add them to a saucepan. And then what we'll do is we're going to boil these in salted water, just lightly salted, for about 20 minutes or until they're tender. So I'm going to finish cutting these potatoes up and go ahead and get them cooked. And once they get cooked and they're tender, I will be back with you to show you what to do next. Okay, my potatoes are done. They are just fork tender. I'm going to set them over on top of the pot for just a minute. And I have this 2.75 quart Pyrex baking dish, and I have coated that with cooking spray. Now if you wanted to, if you didn't want to use cooking spray, you could use just softened butter to line it with, whatever you want. I usually just use a little cooking spray on that because you don't want this stuff to stick. Alright, well, I'm going to take these potatoes and I'm just going to put them right on top of this paper towel because we want to get these as dry as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of little bit. I don't want to mash my potatoes, so I'm just going to kind of take my hands and press on that just a little bit. And there's my oven temperature up. I'm also going to be making some barbecue country ribs to go with this. I have a video for that already. So what I will do is down in the description below, I'll put a link to my homemade barbecue sauce along with the country ribs, and you can make that with it if you like. Okay, I think those are pretty well drained. So I'm going to take my casserole dish. And I'm just going to put these potatoes right in that casserole dish and spread them around just a little bit. And there we go. Now what I'm going to do, this has a snap lid. And so I'm going to snap the lid on this, and then these are going to be refrigerated. You want to refrigerate these for at least 2 hours. Mine are going to go a lot longer than that because I want these thoroughly chilled. Because if you don't thoroughly chill them before you add your cheese sauce, what's going to happen is they're going to mush up and you're going to wind up with more of a mashed potato au gratin than the real potatoes au gratin with the chunks. So we're going to go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and put these in the refrigerator, and later on when they have chilled thoroughly, I will be back to show you what we're going to do next. Okay, my potatoes have been refrigerated now for several hours, and they're good and cold. And what I have done is I'm getting ready to make the sauce now. So I have melted 1/4 of a stick, which is 1/4 of a cup of butter in my saucepan. And to that, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of flour. And I'm just going to mix that around with my whisk until it gets mixed well. Let me turn my heat up just a little bit. I think my heat's too low. There we go. Okay, and now to that, I have that mixed well. I'm going to gradually add 1 cup of whole milk. Now this is whole milk, so that's what the original recipe had called for, but I imagine you could use any kind of milk you like. Okay, and we're just going to cook this until it gets thick. Okay, so when this thickens up, I'll be back with you and show you what we're going to do next. Okay, my milk mixture has thickened up. You can see that. So we just made a little white sauce. And now to that, I have in here 1/4 teaspoon paprika and 1/8 teaspoon of black pepper and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I'm just going to pour that in to my mixture here. And then to that, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon. This is better than bouillon, but you can use any kind of chicken bouillon granules that you'd like to add. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in. Move this back over here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stir in my cheese. Okay, and just till that melts, and it's already beginning to melt. And you can see what we have here. So I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to move you back over to the island, and I'll meet you over there with the potatoes in just a second. Okay, I have taken my potatoes out of the refrigerator, and let me go over here and get a spatula. Okay, and there is my cheese sauce. Let's put this in the sink, and I'm going to go ahead and just pour this right over my potatoes. This smells so good. I wish you could smell it. Alright, and we're just going to kind of fold this in to our potatoes. Okay, and then I'm going to smooth this out. And make sure I'm getting all these covered. And you also want to do this as gently as you can because you don't want to mash up your potatoes. You want those to stay in nice little chunks. Alright. And while I had my sauce cooking, I also had my oven preheating to 350 degrees. Okay, so there's this part of it. Now I'm going to take just a little bit more cheese and put on top of this. Not much. It's not going to take much because this is already going to be pretty cheesy as it is. Alright, and there it is. This is ready for the oven. So I'm going to bake this in a 350 degree oven for about 30 minutes, and I'll be back with you then to show you what it looks like on the plate. Okay, our potatoes are done and our dinner is on the plate. This is my husband's plate, and I have some the barbecued ribs that I was going to do earlier with these. And again, I'll include that recipe, the link to that recipe in that video in the description below so you can see how I made the ribs. But there's the potatoes, and they turned out really, really well, and I fixed him some green beans and some corn. So there is our dinner for tonight, and there is the Au Gratin potatoes. Well, I hope that you enjoyed today's video and that you'll try this recipe yourself. Now I'm going to list the recipe for the smaller batch as well as the larger batch, so that if you need more than just what my smaller recipe makes, you can easily use that larger batch and have plenty to go around for your family. Well, y'all have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for watching. And if you did enjoy the video, please give me a like and consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.